Okay, let me share my screen. So what we have done last session, we discussed about the load balancing, right? So what is load balancing? Why load balancing, right? So and also we have discussed about the right, uh, yeah, networking, right, and application load balancing. So right, we have seen the practicals and how to right, and right, and how to do the uh, right the what are the types of load balancers and what are the states of the load balancer, right? So we have discussed. So coming to today's session, right? So coming to today's session, so let's discuss about, yeah, right. So yeah, so we have discussed about these services as of today, right? So and also the Linux, right? So please do practice, guys, all these items. So yeah, as I said, we will start the DevOps, right? As I said, we'll start the DevOps. So once the AWS is completed, okay. So let's discuss today about what is CloudFormation, okay, how to create a RDS database in AWS using CloudFormation, okay, right? So let's see those. Okay, if we have time, we can discuss CLI as well. These are the minor services we can discuss. It will not take more time. Okay, also discuss load balancing, right? So yeah, so let's start. Let's start cloud formation. Start cloud formation. Okay, yeah. Let me connect to AWS account. AWS start Amazon.com. Let me sign into the console. Right. So let me connect to the AWS account once. Right. Let me sign into that. Right. So cloud formation. You can see here cloud formation. So using cloud formation, there are some templates. There are some templates in cloud formation. So right. So as of now, you are creating a EC2, you are creating a volume, you are creating a snapshot, you are creating a load balancer. Everything you are created using manual approach, right? Using manual approach. So you have different methods. You can use CLI, we can call it as command line interface, we can call it as command line interface. So we can create using CLI as well, command line interface. So you have some commands to run that. For example, you see here, right, you can see EC2. So here there are no instances. If you observe, right, there are no instances, right? You don't have any instance in this region, North Virginia. So here, this is a CLI, we'll call it as command line interface. Using this CLI, right, using this CLI, you can manage your AWS account. You can manage your AWS account using this CLI command line interface, right? So using this CLI, you can manage it, right? So for example, if you want to see list of S3 buckets, you want to see list of S3 buckets. So if you see here, so how many S3 buckets I have? Two buckets, right? So if I want to list down or if I want to create using CLI commands, I can use AWS S3 LS to list down the list of buckets. So from where I got this Cloud Shell? By clicking on this. This is a Cloud Shell. Okay. So I can not only list down, I can create also. I can use AWS S3 MB, make a bucket, right? I can create a bucket. I can provide a bucket name. Okay. So for example, Raju ABC, for example. So it should be like this. Okay. It should be like this. Okay, so make a bucket. Here MB is nothing but make a bucket. Now if you see there are two buckets, right? If you refresh, you can see the third one as well, right? Raju SBAC, right? So I created this one, right? So right, I created this using a command. So where you can find this command line, right? CLI, will call it as command line interface. So there are a lot of commands actually. Okay, there are a lot of commands actually. So let me show those. One second. Right. So if you want to display, right, if you want to create a key pair, you can create a key pair using this AWS EC2. Create key pair. Create, right, key pair name called Vijay. Okay. So here you can see list of key pairs in your system by using key pairs. Right. So here you can see list of key pairs. How many? 4 key pairs. If I want to list down using CLI, I can use AWS EC2 to describe key pairs. Right. I can see I can list down with this. Right. One is Docker test, test 1, 2, 3, K test, and server key pair. Right. There are 4. You can see 4. Right. There are 4 key pairs. If you want to delete it, you have this option. You have to put key pair name. If you want to create, you have this option. Right. And if you want to see, right, if you want to see total number of VPCs, you can use AWS EC2 describe hyphen VPCs. But where you will got all these commands, where you will get all these commands if you want to create a EC2 instance. Like if you want to create a EC2 instance, so there are not, right. If you see under EC2, under EC2, there are no instances. Under EC2, there are no instances. If you want to create, there are some commands. But where you will got this all commands. For example, I want to create a EC2 instance. Should be this is the AMI ID. This is the key instance type. Key pair, it should have this key pair name. Otherwise, you can go with existing key pair. Okay. And it should have this AMI ID as well in your current location. You want to execute, you can execute this command, right? So this AMI ID is not there. Okay, that's why it is throwing error. So let me do one thing. I will go to EC2. I will take a existing instance ID. Okay, AMI ID. Okay, so this is the AMI ID. Okay, I will replace the command here. Now I will run this. Okay, so AWS run instances image ID. This is the image ID, and this is the instance type, and this is the key pair, right? Instance type, and this is the key pair. Let me take the command. So AWS CLI is helpful to manage your AWS account with easy process of running some commands. Now if you see instance is created, earlier there are no servers. Now if you see one server is created using this command. But where all these commands are located, where all these commands are located. So these are all commands located in AWS CLI documentation. AWS CLI documentation, right? So we'll call it as, right, here, right? Each section will have its own commands. You can see EC2, right? If you click on here, right? So this is EC2 related. That means instance related. If you want to create a server, you can see. If you want to run a server, there is a run command here, run instances. Here there is an example. There are options. If you go extreme down, there are options you can utilize. But where is the actual command? If you go completely down, here you can find out the example commands, or you can search for example as well. Okay, here, right? So to launch an instance, right? So you can use AWS EC2, run instances, image ID, AMI ID, instance ID, and a keypad, right? So, and for everything you have a command. Okay, if you go to AWS CLI reference document, here if you want to search for only VPC related, you can see VPC related, right? And if you want to create some SNS related, we have the SNS related command line. So these are helpful in automation. These are helpful in automation. These are helpful in right, making it to some easy process. Okay, easy process. So there are a lot of commands, guys. I will keep this in AWS material drive. Okay, I hope everyone having access to that AWS drive. Okay, so the command line document related. So these are enough, guys, for your practical. Okay, if anything is required, all right, in AWS, right, in working, right, so you can go through this CLI documentation. Everything will be there. Okay, so I'm going to upload in the drive that one. Okay, okay, you can. I hope everyone will get the access to this. Okay, right, right. So I hope everyone having access to this. Okay, Shafi. Okay, provide the access. You can check that. Okay, share. Jaka, you can check now. I provide the access. Okay, others, I think everyone having access to it. If not, hit this URL and ask for the access. Okay, okay. So now, right, I have created a EC2 instance using CLI. Right, this is the one. So you can create a security group. You can, right, delete a port number, list on all the AMIs, create a EC2 instance, terminate a EC2 instance. If you want to terminate it, you have AWS EC2. Terminate instances ID. Right? If you have multiple instance IDs, just give it with a space. And how to find out instance ID, you can describe it. Right? You can describe a particular instance ID. Right? So yeah. So there are many things. Okay. Right, and you can create a bucket, you can delete a bucket, you can list down the buckets, right? You can create a IAM user, right? You can add a IAM user. You can list down the right, and you can log in, right? So many things are there. Just try to do this, right? Just try to do this. Try to practice it. Okay. So this is one method, right? You can create it manually, right? Yeah, just check Ranu, the access I just provided, and Ashish you as well. Just try to click on that. So, right. So that is about CLI, right? One second, let me copy this. I hope we discussed all about the security group, right? What is security group? And we discussed about status check as well, right? So there will be a status check option, right? So I discussed about the status check option already, right? Two by two. That means instance level. Another one is server level, right? You can see status checks, right? System level and instance level, right? So we discussed about status checks and we discussed about security group, right? So security group is nothing but a firewall. We will have inbound rule and you have outbound rules, right? So and the status check will be at right server level and this is instance, right? This is instance and this is the main server, right? And if you see each server will have its IP, right? Will have public IP and a private. This private IP is comes from the this private IP is comes from the right. This private IP is comes from the VPC is one of the service of AWS. Okay, how this private IP is coming? This comes from the VPC. Okay, of AWS. Right, 172.31, and if your private IP 172.31, right, right. So these private IPs are coming from this VPC. And what about this public? This public IP, these public IPs are not permanent. These IPs are coming from the AWS set of IPs. For example, if you stop the server and if you start it, you will not right. You will not see the same IP. It will be changed. If you see that, the IP is removed. If you start this server, you will get a new IP. If you observe, right, it is stopped. Right, let me start this. Now it is starting. What is the IP? This is the latest IP, right? If you see here, what is the IP after start and stop? Before, right, at the time of creation, this is the IP 3.94.10.153. What is the IP now? 3.85.25.72. These are not permanent IPs, right? These are not permanent IPs. Okay, these are not permanent IPs. So, but how you'll get a permanent IP, right? So there is a service called EIP. We'll call it as elastic IPs. What is the concept name? Elastic IP. We'll call it as elastic IP, or we can call it as EIP. We'll call it as EIP. So I will keep it here. These are all right. Some concept which you know, right? So, right, we'll call it as EIPs, right? These EIPs, we'll call it as elastic IPs, right? So, you can take it from AWS and you can assign it to your server. How to do that? If you have to take it from AWS, allocate elastic IP, allocate elastic IP, right? So yes, under US East one, I want to take this IP. Okay, it is a permanent IP. If you apply this IP address, okay, let me take it. You got this IP 50.19.80.124. So if you assign this IP to the server, if you stop and start, this IP will be permanent. This IP will not be changed. If you see here, so if you, right, if you want to assign this IP, how will you assign? Select the server, associate. You can associate to the instance. Okay, 4F. Only one instance is there, right? Let me associate. If I associate, what is the server IP? If I refresh, it will be changed to 50.19.80.124. Right? That particular elastic. Now, if I stop and start, if I stop it, right, it will be same. It will not be changed. It will not be changed. Let's see that. Right. So if you stopped also, if I started also, same IP. Right. These are not free, guys. You have to give it back to AWS. Okay. You have to give it back the IPs to the AWS. So how to give it back? So you can simply, right, you can simply deassociate, release, right? You have to deassociate. That means it will be removed from the server, and you have to release this IP to the AWS. You have to release this IP with AWS. Yes, right. This is the one method of getting the elastic IP, removing the elastic IP, giving it back to the AWS. Yes. Okay. So right now, so we have discussed about security group, elastic IPs. So we have seen this, right? Creation of everything using CLI. So let's see how to do it from the cloud formation. So CloudFormation is one of the important AWS service. Okay, we can call this CloudFormation is nothing but a infrastructure infrastructure as a code tool. Infrastructure as a code tool. It's a part of AWS. It's a service of AWS. You can see cloud formation. So using this cloud, right? Cloud formation, you can create and manage the resources with the templates. With the templates. So right, with the templates. So here, right, there will be a templates. Okay, you can see can create a stack. Here there are some terminologies, guys. So here stack is nothing but collection of resources. Your resource is nothing but server, EC2, volume, snapshots, right? Everything we can call it as. Okay, we can call it as right a stack. Okay, you can call it a EC2 volume, snapshot, or we can call it as a resources. Resources. So we can call it as resources. Okay. Yeah. Second. Right. So cloud formation, we'll call it as a cloud formation stack. Okay. So coming to this, okay, one second. Right. So cloud formation is a part of AWS. We have some other tools as well. Okay. So we have Terraform. So Terraform right now most of the companies are using. Okay. So yeah. Okay. We'll learn Terraform as well, right? We'll learn Terraform as well, but you should familiar with cloud formation. Okay, so that's the reason I'm teaching the cloud formation, but mostly in the organization will use Terraform. So Terraform can support, it's a tool, can support AWS, Azure, GCP. It can support multiple, it can support multiple, we can call it as multiple uh, clouds, right? Like AWS, Azure, and GCP. So it is using templates, as I said, CloudFormation using templates. Okay, so these templates are in the form of YAML format. What format? YAML. Yet another markup language. We'll call it as yet another markup language, right? So as I said, it is using stack. Here, stack is nothing but collection of resources. Can be EC2, volume, snapshot, etc. Right? So, sorry, right, right. We'll call it as etc. So, what I will do, okay. So I can create a stack. Okay, I can click on create stack. Okay, I can create a right. I can create a stack or for example EC2 instance. So there are multiple ways. If you have your own template, you can use it, own file. You can provide that S3 bucket URL of the template, or you can use AWS sample templates, or you can create your own template. There are multiple ways. There are multiple ways. Okay, right. So there are multiple ways. So create template, right? So let's go with sample template. There are sample templates we can view. Okay, you can go for a sample templates by service or by region. Okay, let's go with the region. Okay, so here, for example, if you want to create a EC2 instance with a security, you can use this template. Or if you want to create, right, so let me go US East one. If you want to create, right, a single EC2 instance, or if you want to create a right, some MySQL local database, okay, or web server with Amazon database, right, some connectivity. Okay, if you want to create auto scaling, CloudFront, DynamoDB, right. So if you want to create multiple things, right, based on your requirement. For example, if you want to create a RDS, okay, Oracle template, right. So if you want to create S3 bucket, right, creating a publicly accessible S3 bucket. So there is a code. If you click on here, it will redirect to AWS. It will redirect to AWS. CloudFormation sample template. CloudFormation sample template. Okay. CloudFormation sample template. Okay. So this is a sample template. Okay. So here what it is reflects. So each template will have some information. Okay. This one will help you to create a S3 bucket. Okay. If you see, if you want to use this, you can go to your CloudFormation. Okay, click on create stack, right. You can use template ready section. In place of S3 URL, take this S3. This is the AWS S3 URL. AWS side, they kept this in their region, in their buckets. Okay, this is the file. So here you can provide that URL. Okay, click on next. So it will reflect. It is asking for a stack name. Just provide a stack name called S3 stack. Okay, click on next. And right, remaining are optional. Just click on next. Right, next, submit. It's trying to create a S3 bucket. Right, if you go to S3, right, it is failing. It is failing. So it is enforced. It is failing. Solution completed. Right, it is failing because, right, because of the reason some code portion is missing. Okay, so let me go with some standard one, creating a public access 3 bucket tags template. Sorry. Anyway, let me go above this US West one. Let's go with US East one. Okay, so let's go back one step. Right. So what I will show you, which is working one. So for example, yeah, I will create one EC2 instance with a security. Okay, this is the code. So here, right, there is a lot of information. You don't need to worry about it. Let's take this. let's take this one. And yeah, so let's try to go to CloudFormation, and you should, right, delete this one and go for the US West one, right, US West one, because the code is related to US West one. Okay, let's try to create a stack, right? Template ready because you have that URL. Click on next. Stack name test. Okay, and data.small. You're going with the if you want to create a EC2 instance, you should provide the right instance type. You provide the instance type. You have to provide that, right? So what is the instance type? Data.small. And what is the key pair? What is the key? There are no key pairs actually in that current location. Okay, so let me go to key pairs. There are no key pairs. That's the reason it is not showing any key pair. Right? If you see, let me create a new key pair. Test. Right now, if you go back, now if you create a stack, now if you provide the URL, now you can see that test key pair. And in stack name is EC2SG security group. Right? So why you are getting all this from where actually? Right? Instance type and the security group. Right? So here a cloud formation template having some components. Okay, so cloud formation template having version, cloud formation, right, AWS template format version, when this template is released, the date, description, the use of the template. Okay, parameters, if you want to create a EC2 instance, you need to provide some templates. So what are the kind of templates you have to provide? So parameters for creating EC2 instance, you need a key pair. You have to select a key pair from the list of AWS, right? List of keys in the AWS, right? If you see here, why I am getting this? Because I used this AWS EC2 key pair colon name. That means it will reflect what are the keys in your particular region. This is instance type. So why by default it is taking t2.small by default, right? Others are in the drop down because by default you are providing t2.small. Others you will get it as a allowed value. The SSH location. So SSH location, right, is nothing but, right, the range, right? So 0.0.0 slash 0, right, is nothing but a default if you want to connect to the server, right? Mappings. So mappings are, right. So if you selected t2.small, it will go for particular right architecture. So this is mapping. If you select t2.small, it will take this architecture. If you take t2.small, it will take the nano architecture, this one. And if you take t2.small, and if you are under currently our US West one, it will take this AMA, okay, some random value provided, okay. And finally, I want to create a resource. In that case, I need to use resources section. So a cloud formation template having template version, description, parameters, right? So, and then resources, what you want to create. I want to create a EC2 instance. I want to create a security, right? And finally, I want some details like instance ID. I want availability zone, under which availability zone this server is created, right? The server is created, right? So the elastic IPs are not free, okay. So the EIPs in AWS, right, if you used, right, hourly based, it will, okay, hourly based, it will be don't, right. So it those will be hourly based, okay. Those are not free. Okay, so coming to, right, this is output. At the end I want some output, okay. So I want this detail. I won't want to go to EC2 service to get this information. I want from the, I want from the, right, I want it from the uh, CloudFormation window. Okay, let me create. Next, create. So what it will do, it will create a EC2 instance. If you see, second instance will get created. Creation in progress. Let's wait. It is creating a security group and it is creating a purely, right, this EC2 instance. Let's wait. Right, I have to go to US West 1 because my server is under US West 1 only, right? So I am now under US West 1. I can see a server t2.small. We are under 1C, right? You can see now, here is the stack. You can see output under 1C. Why I'm seeing this under output section? Because in the CloudFormation stack, I provided this, right? So this is the template I'm using, right? You can use it as a practical point of view. So, so not only you can create, right, this, you can create a database as well. You can create a database as well, which you need to know that. So as a, right, as a DevOps engineer, you no need to learn more about database, but you should know about that service called RDS. But before that, right, what are the templates in a CloudFormation stack? So CloudFormation stack having these components. One is template version, another one is description, right? Another one is parameters, another one is resources, another one is out. So this will be a question you will get in the interview, right? Interview point of view, this will be your question. So coming to RDS, so we will call it as relational database service. If you want to install any database in AWS in normal servers, you have to purchase that. You have to purchase that. But AWS is providing the, right, the seven major, right, servers, seven major database versions or softwares. So we will call it as software as a service. We'll call it software as a service. Okay. So you can create Aurora database, you can create MySQL database, MariaDB, Postgres, you can create Oracle, you can create MySQL, you can create IBM DB. These are all you can create, right? These are all you can create a part of a software as a service. Okay. So as a DevOps engineer, you will get a requirement from the database team, and right, what their requirement, you will get that and you will create it. So this is not free, guys. So better you have to know the process, but don't create it. Don't create it. So for example, coming to this CloudFormation template, if you delete this stack, what will happen? What will happen? This server will get deleted. Right? If you see. And that particular security group also get deleted. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, nothing to do with this CloudFormation. So just know the process, just know the components, right? So RDS, right? So DB instance, database instance. Okay. So here you can create a database, but you will get a requirements from database team. So standard create, easy create. Standard create means there are some standard right configurations. So easy create, right? Easy create means so there are some easy options to create it. Okay, so you can see as I said, Aurora database, MySQL database, Aurora database, MariaDB, Postgres. In Postgres, you can get multiple versions as well. You can see and the DB sets. If you are using for production, the main application, right? So if you are using for development and testing, if you use it for free tier, right? So if it is free tier also, there will be some pricing. That's why I said don't delete it, don't create it. Okay, don't create a database. Just know the process. Once you selected the particular version, right? So this is very easy process of creation. If you go for standard create, if you select Postgres, inside Postgres also there are some versions. Okay, you can select. This is some easy create, and you can provide a database identifier name for identify. If you have several database instances, you can identify with this name. And username, it's a Postgres. By default, user will be Postgres. And you can generate a password. You can set right, if you want you can generate an auto password, or you can set your own password, right, and create. So once you create a database, once you create a database, right, so you have, right, you have a id, right, it will be like this. Okay, so once you create a database, you will see this id, endpoint id. Okay, once you create a database in RDS, let me cancel. Here you will see database call, for example, any name, whatever the name you provided, and there will be endpoint. There will be endpoint for the each database. You have to take this database endpoint, and you have to take the username, and you have to the password, and give these three information to the database team. And then they will access the database and they will do their work. Okay, so right, right, so once you have endpoint, so this more thing is not required, so that right. So yeah, all right, just try to note down, just try to note down. So template, cloud formation template, all right, components and RDS software engines, we'll call it as these are SQL, right? RDS engines, the six type. Okay, right? Just note down the engines are also cloud formation templates. You may get questions of these types. Okay, So just now done and drop for today. So tomorrow, right, we'll have very important classes. Okay, so don't miss it, guys. So we'll have the load balancing. We'll have, right. So Route 53. So auto scaling Route 53 VPC. These are very important. Okay, from Feb 1st onwards, we will start. We'll discuss about DevOps. Okay, so don't miss that, or maybe from 6th onwards we'll start the DevOps. So don't miss it. So yeah, okay. So that's it for today. We'll meet on tomorrow. Okay, just to practice. So we'll meet tomorrow.